Now, the school district is talking about putting together a master facilities plan, I guess by next May, that would determine current and future building needs. Now, do you think that the district is in need of replacing or renovating school buildings? Where would you start, and how do you feel about their hiring a company? I guess we don't have a price for this yet, but how do you feel about their hiring a company to put together this master facilities plan? And let's start with, oh, and I'm sorry, we should be alternating, so let's start with
Yeah, he gets two in a row.
That's okay, no problem. With regards to the point on hiring an outside consultant, if you can call them that, I think that's a good idea. Because it helps with trying to get more of the non-biased approach on looking at our district from more objective means. So it kind of takes the competition out of the array, if you could say that. The other piece with the district, the strategic planning piece that we're talking about is I think it's important to have a lot of the community involvement. We recently had the community survey that was sent out. Well, I'm glad that it was well attended. There was, from what we were informed, there were 1,200 people that participated. And at the end of the survey, there were, I believe, 500 people that actually completed the survey from beginning to end. I know there's the ability to analyze that from several angles, and it's a very good sampling of our population. But you also have to understand that putting it in the context of roughly 500 people that finished that survey, we have almost 12,000 registered voters in Fairview Park. So when you're looking at those two, you really want to make sure that you have community involvement when you have a strategic plan, especially of this magnitude. When we're talking about the facilities, I know we recently had the Ohio School Construction Facility Commission come in to do their 23-point inspection on our facilities. I've heard anecdotally from a lot of families about the good and bad from our, both our Mare Middle School and our high school, as well as from our Parkview Early Education. Do we renovate or do we get new buildings? I think it really needs to have a conversation that has the community at the table to help decide that.
Okay, Mrs. DuBay Gillis.
I think that it's great that we are having all of this community involvement and that we're doing all of these plannings. As Rabon said, community involvement is important, and we do need to expand the number of folks that are participating because it's their tax dollars that will fund this facility upgrade. I think there are a couple of things that we need to keep in mind, though, and we have to really understand what is the borrowing capacity of our district in order to make these renovations happen. I know that there are some concerns about, a new building versus a renovated building. The fact is, from what I understand from our treasurer, we really only have bond capacity right now at about $7.5 million. And we've had, under our previous superintendent, an assessment done of our facilities. I believe it was in 2012 and 13, and they came in with two different cost ranges, but it was about between $5 and $9 million to renovate Mare Middle School and the high school. So we really, I think, are looking at probably adaptive reuse of our building, not necessarily, we probably don't have the resources right now to do a whole new building, which that's fine, but I think we have to make sure that we keep all these decisions about our facilities as local as possible, and that means, not necessarily engaging with the state to take any of their grant funds, because then we become beholden to the Ohio Design Manual. I think local decisions about the facilities are the best way to go, but we have to be able to prioritize the renovations that we need, and hopefully we can do that with community input. I'm excited to see what the community will say about our facilities.
Okay. Any follow-up, or should we move on?
Just one quick follow-up.
Sure.
When we're looking at whether we redesign if the decision is made or if the decision is made to build new, I think it's really important to look at who we're going to serve. We have a changing demographic in Fairview, and just in my neighborhood alone, I've seen several new families with younger children come in. I know from observance, we have 5 full-day kindergartens. We have 3 half-day kindergartners, each with 20 students plus each class. And I know Gillis Suite, we've kind of already outgrown a little bit because we had to move the 6th grade over to the middle school area, which makes the middle school, high school now representative of 7 grades. So when we're looking at how we're going to better utilize our facilities, we have to take into account the changing demographic, and then we have to look at our long-term vision and try and see what are we going to look at in 5 years. Are we going to have more younger children, older children? How can we better serve our demographic?
Well, Superintendent, and I guess we'll start with you again, Rabon, since
all's fair.
Yeah, Superintendent Bill Wagner has discussed the possibility of seeking a bond issue which would be a tax increase in November 2016 to pay for whatever improvements end up being recommended. Would you favor putting a bond issue on the ballot for this purpose?
Well, I think there needs to be more discussion on putting that bond issue up. We have to understand, and we talked about fiduciary responsibility. We have to get a better understanding when we're looking at bond issues. What exactly is the bond issue going to go for, and how are we going to allocate it? So I'd like to know a lot more information on that bond issue, because even if, and I'm pro-education, so I always want what's best for our children, and I feel it is an investment to make sure that our future generations are cared for better than how we were cared for. But I also don't want to frivolously spend either. I want to make sure that we do it strategically and it is with a good purpose.
Okay. Kelly?
Well, I think it's also important to keep in mind that we do have a reserve in Fairview Park. We've been very, very, very blessed with great fiscal management. You know, left with the previous treasurer that we had, Ryan Gazzoni, and then our current treasurer, Amy Hendricks. So we've been able to create a nest egg in our district. And I know during the community survey meetings, there have been people who have expressed an interest, instead of going for an increase in taxes or another bond, why don't we consider dipping into that reserve that we have accumulated in the district? So I think we need to get the facilities report from the OFCC and look and see what sort of renovations they recommend and the price tag associated with that. AVG, their scope of work includes validating the OFCC's renovation price tag and making sure it's been ground truth and it's appropriate. I know they just did that for the Polaris Center, and that's the approach they're going to take for us. And then once we are able to kind of say, okay, we've recalibrated this renovation or upgrade assessment, we'll be able to know better what the priorities are, and we can decide if a bond is necessary or if we can use the funds that we've accumulated that have come from good stewardship of our resources to date. So I think, again, like Rabon said, it's a conversation we still need to have, but we need to look at what our monetary capabilities are and compare those with the priorities of what we want to see happen in our facilities.
Okay.